Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 930 of the Juicebox Podcast. On today's episode of Best of the Juicebox Podcast, Jenny Smith and I are going to be talking about bad sites. That's bad sites for your insulin pumps. Doesn't matter what kind of pump you have. Sometimes those sites just kind of stop working. They go bad. We're going to talk about it. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. You can get 35% off your entire order at CozyEarth.com when you use the offer code JUICEBOX. You can get a free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first order of Athletic Greens. That's AG1 from Athletic Greens at athleticgreens.com/juicebox. And to get 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp, go to betterhelp.com/juicebox. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Contour Next Gen Blood Glucose Meter. ContourNext.com/juicebox. That's where you're going to find an amazing array of meters from Contour. They have beautiful second chance test strips, so you don't waste any strips, and they are so accurate. So accurate. ContourNext.com/juicebox. The podcast is also sponsored today by US Med. Now, US Med is the place where Arden gets her Dexcom and Omnipod supplies from. Sorry. They have Omnipod 5, Omnipod DASH, Dexcom G6, G7, Libre 3, Tandem. They got stuff. usmed.com/juicebox. Get your free benefits check today and get started with US Med. Don't like the internet? Here's a phone number just for Juicebox Podcast listeners. 888-721-1514. Give them a call and tell them, hey, I'm thinking of switching to US Med. Can you help me out? Hey, everybody, this is the next episode in the Diabetes Variables series. So it's going to be me and Jenny Smith. Jenny, of course, is a 30-plus year type 1, a CDE, a nutritionist. She does a whole bunch of stuff. And she's here today to talk about a new topic, something that might come up in your life that very well may impact blood sugars. Today, the variable that Jenny and I will be talking about is bad sites. On the front page of juiceboxpodcast.com, a lot of the series that are within the podcast have their own space, like on the website, so you can see them, because I know there's a lot of episodes. Today, I've added the variable series, so that's there now as well. So if you're looking for a certain episode, and you're not sure what episode number it is, head there and do a little scrolling. You'll find it. All right, Jenny. So I have 4 of them set aside to try for today. One of them, I can't wait to see how you respond. But the other ones are I'm going to start with a couple that are shorter, I think, and then see what we're going to get to. So
okay,
this one I think is going to be a really short variable, but I want to talk about bad sites. So just you're using an insulin pump, and the site stops being as effective as you expect or as you've, I guess, experienced already with the site. But people have the hardest time bailing on
changing
a pump
it.
Site. Yeah. It's that the hope that sticks with them is sometimes fascinating. And I can't tell if it's this thing supposed to last this long, damn it. Like, I'm not giving up. Or, I mean, I even get if it's money. But,
right.
You know, like if you're saying, I don't want to take this thing off, but if you have insurance, so I guess the first thing to say to people is if you have insurance and you experience bad sites, your provider can write you a prescription for more stuff if that becomes necessary.
Right.
That's
right.
not uncommon.
To change more frequently. Not at all.
Yeah.
No. In fact, with all the pumps, I think there are people who definitely find I get to day 2. I can maybe make it to day 2.5 if it looks like it's really, really still working well, but I don't push it anymore to day 3. So yes. I mean, if you're one of those people, then just don't push it. Know what you know, and ask your doctor to write for changes every 48 hours instead of every 72.
Yeah. It's so an example is, you know what the funniest thing about diabetes is? Whenever I go to talk about it, I always have a fresh example because it just never stops. But Arden and I are going to go shopping this afternoon together. We're going out to find little baskets to put on her shelves that she put up. She put up shelves, then she wants to put baskets on the shelves. I've been a stay-at-home dad for a long time, so that seems like a reasonable way for me to spend my afternoon to me. But
for bunny eggs or something, or what is she putting baskets?
17. I don't know what she's putting up there. Hopefully she's not hiding, paraphernalia.
Stuff.
Yeah. Which I don't believe she is. But not the point. The point is that I woke up this morning to find that Arden's blood sugar had been fairly sticky at like 140 overnight. And I thought, oh, we must have missed on the last thing that she ate. And, the basil's holding her nice and steady. I'll bolus this. I bolus it and it doesn't move. And as soon as that happened, I thought, this site is shot. Like it hits me like immediately. Now, do I yank the pump off her right away? No, I turned all of her settings up a little bit. I made all of her insulin stronger and it worked. And then when the settings reverted back, it drifted back up again. And so in my mind, she's not getting insulin correctly anymore because I'm not getting what I expect.
Right.
And so I told her just before you and I did this, I said, listen, do one more bolus because that's going to bridge this time I'm going to be talking to Jenny. And then I said, and then we're going to pull your pump before we go out. Cause I mean, to get 8 more hours out of this thing, I mean, I guess we could just jack it up. It's probably leaking, right? Or something. Yeah, or what? So what are all the things that could go wrong with a site?
Yeah, it's like a rabbit hole of information about site, right? It really is. So what could it be? It could be that the site is in a place that just got bumped or nudged or something. And so now it's not really working as well under the site. Maybe you developed like a little tiny, like, I don't know, like a clot, let's say, but it's not absorbing quite as well. Thus, when you bump everything up and now you're jacking in a little bit more insulin, it's kind of pushing out enough to overcome whatever the reason for the resistance is at the site. Okay. It just could be that this area, especially if you've documented enough to know, the right hip and the left hip don't absorb as well after day 2. So let's just change it when it's in those locations sooner than later. Yeah. So it could be the site, right? Variables of site, it could be infection at the site, especially in infections. I usually that you have something starting. Even if it's a mild infection, I'm not talking something major, but usually the site hurts.
It's sore.
It's sore. You might even notice a little bit of bruising, like outside the cannula kind of area, but definitely it's sore, and sites should not be sore. Right. They should be with the little flexible cannula under the skin, and or even the ones who use the steel infusion sets. It shouldn't hurt.
Okay.
So
I'm going to make an omission here, or not an omission, an admission. I'm going to admit something. Omission is when you leave something out.
Yes.
Admit. Okay.
When you have to admit something. Right, what are you going to admit?
Arden's had diabetes since she was 2. And I hear people say, my pump's occluded all the time. I've never figured out what they mean when they say that. I understand the word. But I mean, physically, like the word makes me feel like somebody stuck bubble gum in your tubing, but that's obviously not it. So when people say I got an occlusion, what are they talking about?
Well, a true occlusion is different than a site that's technically gone bad.
Okay.
In a site that is occluded means like the tubing is straight underneath the skin. And typically tubing will be bent visually to some degree when you remove it. And most pumps, I know at least Omnipods, if you have an occlusion and your pod errors, it will tell you that it's either a pod error or it will tell you that a pod occlusion is detected and to change the pod at that point.
Okay.
So, and all of the pumps will register an occlusion based on a certain amount of insulin that gets backed up into the pump, and it triggers the alarm to say this insulin hasn't gone in up to this certain amount. And each pump has kind of a designated amount that triggers that occlusion alarm. So an occlusion is definitely different than a site problem.
Right.
Now an occlusion could be something that starts to make the site not feel good too. Because obviously if you've got like a bent cannula under the site,
that could hurt.
That might be more irritating than something that's just supposed to be sitting straight, right?
Yeah.
Most often though, what I've found is that an occlusion will happen soon after a site change.
Okay. But a bad
Not
site,
always.
Yeah, but a
bad site could be 2-3 days in, etc. But
right.
An occlusion usually is sooner than later in the life of a site, mainly because it usually happens on the site being put under the skin.
Okay.
Something has triggered it to bend, etc. Could it happen while you're wearing it? Yes, it could.
But more likely from the injection itself.
More likely from the actual puncture under the skin.
I should knock on some wood, but in 13 years or more of using Omnipod, Arden's had one bent cannula ever. And I've never seen the occlusion thing. I actually think it's kind of cool that if Omnipod thinks you're not getting insulin correctly, the thing just errors and shuts off.
Yes.
Like, it's just like, look, this is bad for you. I'm going to force you to put on a new insulin pump now.
Yeah. I've always thought too, it has more checks and balances to alerting sooner than later that something isn't right internally than the other pumps. Yeah. So
I also don't see them as much since they took the manufacturing in-house.
Oh,
you know
interesting.
I mean? Yeah. Since they moved from China to, I just did an interview with them not too long ago, but since they moved that, they have if you've never seen it, it's astounding. Like the manufacturing facility in Massachusetts.
In Boston.
Yeah. So maybe that's it too. Okay. So here's the bigger question, I guess, and how to wrap this up. You learn what a bad site, and bad site's just a colloquial phrase. It's not a technical term. It's just a phrase that stops working the way you want it to, a site that stops working the way you want it to work. You start to notice them after experiences, and then you kind of figure out when you can be like, this is bad. I'm jumping on this. So there's I don't think there's any way in this conversation to say, just look for this, this, and this, other than to say, if the site's not acting like you expect, if it's towards the end of the site life, maybe switching now is a good idea. Do you have anything to add to that, or is that kind of it?
It's kind of true. I mean, if you have enough hindsight from your life with diabetes, right, from experiences, you can say, well, my lunch usually does this, my breakfast usually does this, my run in the afternoon usually does this kind of thing. And if it's not, and considering other variables that could be impacting towards a higher blood sugar, if none of those are really in the picture, our recommendation, take a correction, like you kind of did. You drove a correction in and you're like, that didn't do anything. Don't play. Just change it out. Just change it out. Get some insulin going again. Who knows what the reason was? I mean, you could play with thinking about what the reason is forever. Just change it out, deal with the high blood sugar, and move on.
Okay. All right, Chat GPT. Let's see if you can write a podcast ad for the Contour Next Gen blood glucose meter. Wow, it works quick. Ready? Managing your diabetes can be a challenge, but with the Contour Next Gen blood glucose meter, you'll have the confidence and control you need to stay on top of your health. This state-of-the-art device offers exceptional accuracy, ensuring you get the most reliable results every time you test. That's actually true. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Contour Next Gen blood glucose meter. ContourNext.com/Juicebox. It says I should put a sound effect in of the meter beeping, but I won't be doing that. Let's see. The Contour Next Gen blood glucose meter comes with a user-friendly app that helps you track your glucose levels. That's actually true. You don't have to use the app, but you absolutely can, and it is pretty fantastic. The app lets you set reminders and keep an eye on your trends. It's like having your own personal diabetes coach right at your fingertips. Well, it's a lot like having an app, but I see what it's getting at. And for our valued podcast listeners, listen, guys, I've got a website, contournext.com/juicebox. You can learn a lot about the meters there. They really are terrific. They're super accurate, easy to use, easy to hold, absolutely fantastic. Favorite meters my daughter's ever used, hands down. So don't let diabetes hold you back. Take charge of your health and experience the freedom and peace of mind that comes with using the Contour Next Gen blood glucose meter. I believe that, by the way. It's a great meter. You need accurate tests. It's not mentioning the second chance test strips here, which, I mean, blows my mind because that's the best part of the meter. Obviously, you can touch the blood, not get enough, go back, get more, not impact the accuracy or waste a test strip. Second chance test strips are fantastic, which is not to say that the meter needs a lot of blood. It's just, if you mess up, you can go back without ruining the strip or the accuracy of the test. Seriously, fantastic meters. I love them. My daughter's been carrying them for years. They're great long-time sponsors of the podcast. contournext.com/juicebox. When you click on the links, you're supporting the podcast. There's links in the show notes of the podcast player you're listening in right now. Links at juiceboxpodcast.com. And of course, you can just type in contournext.com/juicebox. I'm going to tell you about one of the better decisions I made last year. I switched Arden's delivery of her diabetes supplies from where we were getting them to US Med. And US Med is more than edging out the service that we were getting from that previous company. Right from the comfort of your home or office, you can join over 1 million satisfied customers who rely on US Med for courteous, knowledgeable, and trained customer care. And their representatives are going to keep you up to date with your medical and diabetic supplies, all delivered right to your door. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514 to get your free benefits check right now. US Med features a litany of things that you're going to love. How about an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau? They accept Medicare nationwide and over 800 private insurers. They carry everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like the Freestyle Libre 3, the Dexcom G6, and that brand new Dexcom G7. They always provide you with 90 days worth of supplies and fast and free shipping. Better service and better care is what you're going to get when you go to usmed.com/juicebox. On top of all of this, US Med is now dispensing Novolog Insulin Aspart and Humalog Insulin Lispro through their pharmacy benefits. What are you waiting for? usmed.com/juicebox, 888-721-1514. US Med is the #1 distributor for Freestyle Libre systems nationwide. They are the #1 specialty distributor for Omnipod DASH. They are the place we got Arden's Omnipod 5s from. US Med provides Arden with her Dexcom supplies. And they're the #1 fastest growing Tandem distributor nationwide. I mean, I guess I could say it again, but are you just already online getting it done? Are you even listening to me anymore? Or have you already called 888-721-1514? Don't like the phone? usmed.com/juicebox. The other day I got an email from US Med and it said, you want some more supplies? I guess it was time. And I said, yes. I clicked the button and then they just showed up. You want to do it like that? It's pretty damn easy. usmed.com/juicebox. If you enjoyed this episode of the Diabetes Variable series, there's more. It begins at episode 491 with trampoline. Did you know that was a variable that could impact your type 1 and your blood sugar? Well, it can. Also, episode 505, temperature, 507, travel, 511, exercise, 524, hydration. We talk about food quality in episode 526. In episode 530, leaky sites and tunneling. Episode 535, playing video games. That can impact blood sugar. 540 is stress. 544, masturbation. 548, school. 552, bad sites. You just heard that one here. 556, growth hormone. Number 560 is sleep. Episode 564, pump site placement. Episode 568, a full moon. Episode 572, diabetes technology. 580 is weight gain. 584, Walmart. Walmart can change your blood sugar? Get out of here. And episode 588, we called the final episode, sort of, And then there were two more, 592 menopause and 596 alcohol. You can find a complete list of these, just like I read to you, at juiceboxpodcast.com. Up at the top, you click on Diabetes Variables, takes you to all of them. Or if you're a member of the private Facebook group, you just go into the feature tab and there are lists of all the series there. That group, of course, is Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes, but we don't care what kind of diabetes you have. Come on over and check us out. There's almost 40,000 members in there, and the group is completely free for you to use, just like this podcast. If you enjoyed this, please share it with someone else who you think might also enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. If you're interested in learning more about betterhelp.com/juicebox therapy available from BetterHelp, there'll be an ad that plays after this, but that's all that's left. So if you're not interested in learning about that, go ahead and shut this off. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, BetterHelp. You can get 10% off your first month of therapy with my link, betterhelp.com/juicebox. That's betterhelp.com/juicebox. If you've been thinking about speaking with someone, this is a great way to do it on your terms. betterhelp.com/juicebox. The podcast is sponsored today by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and is 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. BetterHelp.com/juicebox. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. And when you use my link, you'll save 10% on your first month of therapy. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. Talk to them however you feel comfortable. Text, chat, phone, or video call. If your therapist isn't the right fit, for any reason at all, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. And the best part for me is that with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you. And you're going to get more scheduling flexibility and a more affordable price. BetterHelp.com/juicebox. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/juicebox. Save 10% on your first month of therapy.